G'day viewers, my name's Graham Stevenson and I'd like to invite you to come on a journey of creativity and learning and adventure through the series Colour in Your Life. There's an artist in every family throughout the world, and lots of times there's an artist deep down inside all of us as well. So grab your kids, your brothers, your sisters, your aunties, uncles and mums and dads and come and see how some of the best artists do what they do. Well, hi folks, and welcome back to Colour in Your Life. Well, as you can see, I'm in a bit of a sculpture at the moment, or sculpture. We are in Moab in Utah. We're going to be spending the day with an amazingly talented woman, Serena Supplee. Serena, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Graham.
Lovely to have you here. This is one of Serena's sculptures. Now, you're sort of a combination of both, really, aren't you? You're an artist, a very well-known artist as well, and a sculptor. And we're going to be looking at some of the stuff that you do later on. But you actually got a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree from Northern Arizona University when you first started. But we were discussing before, there was a real epiphany for Serena back in 1988. And you were a river guide on the Green River, the San Juan River and the Colorado River back in those days, and spent a decade doing that, which is quite fascinating. But you were telling me that there was one instance where you basically said, what am I going to do? Am I going to be a river guide or am I going to be an artist? Tell me about that moment.
Well, it was great. I had a woman on my boat who didn't want to get in the mud, and the water had dropped out. There was no not getting in the mud. So she wanted me to carry her from shore to the boat, vice versa. And I did that for a few days, and we got to the takeout and there was like 100 yards of mud. And she thought it was a good idea if I set her on a cooler and pulled the cooler to get her across the mud, which I did do. But in that moment, I realized, what am I doing here? I'm not a mule.
Yeah.
I was going to be an artist.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go now. So she was the gift. If it wasn't for her, I might have ended up being a guide again.
Yeah.
And so she was the gift of me becoming an artist.
That's fantastic.
So we blessed that woman of no mud.
And you're regarded as the artist of the Colorado Plateau as well.
Yes.
And lots of Serena's work is based on the Grand Canyon, Zion Valley, particularly here when you look at Moab. This is where the Arches National Park is. And the scenery is just spectacular, isn't it?
Yes.
It's most amazing. But Serena's actually published a number of books as well. You've got cards and prints. I mean, you've really done extremely well with your career on that behalf. But your mum basically introduced you to Georgia O'Keeffe when you were young. And that sort of really started off, I mean, particularly when you look at Serena's style now, that sort of started you on that journey, didn't it?
It did. Yeah, my mother was a wonderful woman.
Yeah, fantastic. And also American Gothic from Grant Wood, which was another big influence for you as well. So there's been about a half a dozen artists that have really influenced you within your career.
It's true.
We're going to go and have a look at some of the sculptures that Serena does as well. We're in a fantastic compound. I mean, you've been here for nearly 3 decades, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, so this is really an artist community in this area. It's fantastic, and this is the queen of the arts in Moab, I can assure you. We're going to duck down and have a look at some of the sculptures, and then we're going to go in and watch Serena paint one of her magnificent pieces. All right, Serena, part of your wonderful talent is the fact that you also do sculptures as well. And you're sort of like, you're a very established artist, but a frustrated sculptor in some sense. You really want to do this, don't you?
I do.
Yeah, and they're fantastic. Now, this is really Indian motif of some type. Just explain to me what this is about.
I base this on the Wingate sandstone, which is a cliff layer here, and the characters that I see in the Wingate. This one I call Angel Warrior, because he's got the warrior look about him, and yet he has this wing that makes him an angel.
And it's fascinating, the process. You actually put foam, they're actually foam core, and then you cover those with chicken wire and wire to build up the main outline. So you sort of carve the foam out, and then this is a mixture of some type of cement that you put over the top of it.
Yes.
It's fantastic. They look great, they really do. And if you look around Serena's yard, I mean, you'll see a whole bunch of sculptures. This really is an art compound
Yes,
in any sense, isn't it? It's like three decades of artists coming in and out. What about this one here? What's this all about?
This one, this is also based on the Wingate sandstone in a spot. And this one is kind of the classic mother and child motif.
Okay.
And she's really cool because she's a mother with a child. I call her Roller Mama because this one, she knows how to let it roll off her back.
That's great. That's great. Well, apart from that, your great talent is your landscapes of the Grand Canyon and, you know, throughout Moab, Arches, Arizona, Canyonlands, which is fantastic as well. Phantom Ranch.
Yes.
Where you've got some stuff down there too.
Yes.
They actually took one of your paintings down to Phantom Ranch. You've got to actually hike down to this place. There's no roads, is there?
It's a 10-foot long painting, and they hiked it in.
It's fantastic, really. Well, that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to go in and we're going to show you how Serena paints one of her amazing canyon landscapes. It's going to be absolutely, I mean, the area is gorgeous, it really is. But let's go in the studio and make a start.
Let's do it.
Okay. All right, Serena, I can see that you've got throwaway palettes there. I use the same thing, very convenient. And you're about to lay out your palette. So what type of paints do you actually use?
Sometimes I buy Utrecht, but I really like Daniel Smith. I think they make one of the best products on the market.
Yeah, the colours are fairly dynamic, aren't they?
Yes.
So your palette is based on how many colours? Because you've got so many reds and purples and blues and yellows. There's a lot of primary factor involved in your work. When you look at it, there are a lot of contrasting colours.
I'm one of those artists that likes to buy every single tube. I like every color. And I also like putting similar colors next to each other, like a warm red next to a cool red next to the Daniel Smith color they call opera, which is like a hot pink, and then magenta as well. I just like putting it all together.
Now, you were saying that you actually studied with a Japanese woodblock master.
Yes, his name was Hiroki, and he taught me to paint one color at a time. One color at a time? Yes, and so he would talk about how if you put a warm red next to a cool red, the richness of those two interplaying is stronger than one of the colors alone.
And I see that you've got some points mapped out.
Yes, points. I like to work from my drawings.
Okay.
And what I'll do is I'll put a grid here, then I put it on the canvas so I don't get too far off in any direction, although I'm okay if it's not just like the drawing.
Yeah, a lot of your drawings are just as beautiful as your paintings. I mean, they're so meticulous in themselves, and because you've been an avid hiker and explorer most of your life, and you know, just wandering through these amazing canyons and then rapiding down those rivers. I mean, what an amazing thing to do.
It's wonderful. I've been very fortunate.
Absolutely. Yeah, you were just telling me before that you were a community artist at one stage and you were working out in the open, and you're the first artist that we've actually filmed that actually sits down on the floor to paint. So, but somebody said something to you when you were demonstrating one day.
Yeah, they said that I needed to have an easel and that it was very odd to sit on the ground, and that I should get myself a chair and a little table, and then I just thought, well, that's a lot more stuff to carry.
Well, I mean, the thing is that works for you, doesn't it?
Yes, I'm very comfortable sitting on the ground.
Yeah.
I'm kind of drawing with a brush. I'm kind of drawing what's in this sketch. And then like in these areas where I'm just kind of filling in like this, I just kind of like to leave the stroke marks or the scribbles, and then that gives me a sense of the direction I want the art to go, or the next color to go, and the texture I want the art to have, the shape to have.
I mean, it's just such an interesting technique, it really is. And a lot of it's sort of just free flow, it's free form.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
I'm making it up.
Yeah, she's making it up as she goes along.
What a way to live life,
Yeah,
right?
it's great. Now, some of the other artists that have influenced you over the years are Joella Jean Mahoney. Can you tell me, how did she fit into your story?
She is a wonderful landscape painter who brought spirituality into her paintings. She talked about and would write about the spirit of the land and then make her paintings in such a way that you could feel and see some spirit within them.
You also studied Maynard Dixon, who really captured a lot of the feeling of rural Utah as well.
Yes, he did the most amazing clouds, in my opinion. And, well, everything actually, but really great painter.
And a very, very well-known painter, Diego Rivera.
Yes.
Was a big influence, yeah.
Yes. Now, Diego, I always felt like he knew how to put power in the painting.
Now, I'm just going to bring up some of your paintings as well, your beautiful work, Serena. And just looking at bridging naturally, and this whole area that you live in is quite amazing. How many actually arches are there in the Moab area?
Too many to count.
Seriously?
Seriously.
There's that many, wow, it's just amazing.
And natural bridging naturally is actually at Natural Bridges National Monument.
Okay.
As opposed to Arches National Park. But see, then there's arches in Canyonlands National Park too, so they're kind of everywhere.
It was actually when you used to go out with your dad in the Canyonlands when you were a young girl that you really, in a sense, heard the spirit of the land. You really wanted to be part of that.
Yeah, my dad took me out four-wheeling and I felt the land, and I think the land felt me, and I was like, I want to live somewhere near Moab, Utah, and I want to be an artist.
And that's what you did. It was that epiphany on the river that day. That's it.
That's
this is what I'm going to do. And you were telling me before that you really don't use a camera when you go out. You go out and you do your sketches. Literally everything comes to you through thoughts.
Yes.
Yeah, you capture it from there.
As the way I refer to it is, I'm using my eye, not the camera's eye. And then I have more rein for imagination.
Well, it's definitely stretched, I can assure you. And
Stretch our imaginations. What a good way to live, huh?
And a couple of times you've actually just done solo river trips by yourself. So just floating down the rivers and...
Oh yeah.
How wonderful is that?
I do several every year.
Oh my goodness, that's fantastic.
And that way I can stop when I want to stop, go when I want to go, and that if I find something I'm really interested in painting or drawing, I can.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
I mean, I like going with groups because it's fun to feel the camaraderie, but you just have to kind of do whatever the group's doing.
Yeah, and I think that sense of self that you obtain, you know, getting to understand who you are with that isolation, I think that's incredibly important. That's when those epiphanies come to you in life. That's when they
happen.
Yeah, they really do. Now I'm just going to bring up some of your wonderful work, and you've just got so much of it, it's just quite extraordinary. And you sort of look at these paintings of yours and sort of they evoke an absolute wonder of not just your amazing work, but how on earth did nature create these things?
I can remember doing paintings and thinking, no one's going to believe this is real.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
That makes it even trickier for the artist to paint something that's already unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, the colours that you put into your work are just quite extraordinary. All right, Serena, well, I can see that you've got a lot of blocking in to do. So what we might do is we might just let you work on all of that for a little while, and then we'll come back when you've done a little bit more.
Sounds good.
Well, Serena, it looks like you've really put down a lot more colours. You're blocking it in and it's really starting to come alive. You can see the river going down through the canyon. And tell me a little bit more about your time at Phantom Ranch. That sounds incredibly interesting. It's one of those places you actually have to hike into to stay there.
It's true. I call Phantom Ranch my second home. I enjoy going there in the winter when it's slower, because they allow me to stay for a bit. I've gotten to spend 23 winters there.
Wow.
And one of the things I do to further my knowledge, so to speak, is I take a book about a different artist that I'm interested in, and I go there and I read about them, and then I look at their art and so on and so forth. And I don't even know that I end up doing anything like they did, But just this whole practice of, I think it helps me reaffirm who I want to be.
Uh-huh. And it's such an isolated place. It's basically a sort of a cabin, the bottom of a gully or a ridge in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. There's nothing to do there except read and hike.
And do you have to, is there a lottery to actually get down to the place, is it?
That's what's happening now. There is a lottery to get a room. And when I was going, it wasn't. You could still put in a reservation a year in advance. But now it's a lottery.
And one thing I've noticed when I've been over here myself and been in the parks in the wintertime, and generally they do close a lot of the parks down when the snows settle in, but the contrast between the colours of the snow and the colours of the rocks and the purples and the reds, it's just quite amazing.
And the rocks turn darker, which makes the snow whiter.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. Because of the way that you've led your life, there's a lot of spiritualism in your work. It really does poke out quite dramatically.
I'm so glad you feel that,
yeah.
Graham, because one of the things I really feel is important for me about my art is that people have a sense of joy and well-being and something to feel happy about.
So what about those moments, I mean, particularly when you're in these isolated areas and you look up at the stars? You've got a couple of paintings where you actually look up towards the stars, and that must be a very cathartic thing. And you've also got another one which is Remember the Future, and there are rocks out there that look like heads, but this rock you've actually made it look like Nefertiti's head.
Yes.
That's a great piece, that one.
Our great goddess.
Our great goddess, Remember the Future. I suppose when you stand at the base of a lot of these monoliths around here, there has to be a sense of spiritualism that comes above you. Yeah.
And you realize how small you are in the scheme of things. You know, sometimes you can feel like you're so powerful, I can help change the world and blah, 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 and then there's times where you feel so small.
You're like a little ant.
And maybe it's the times you feel small that you actually make a difference, who knows?
And if you're lucky enough to have the courage to pursue who you are supposed to be.
Right.
Because many people don't do that in their life.
I get it.
A lot of times people look at America like it's a giant city, but they don't realise that there are so many amazing national parks in this country as well. There's one called Nautical Hold on Me, but you can actually see the geography and the history of millions of years in these rocks. It's amazing.
That one's at Turk's Head. It's a beautiful, beautiful place on the Green River.
Yeah. Now you've also published a number of books on your work. You're a very, very prolific lady, there's no two ways about it, but there's one that you published called Grand Canyon Calling. And what you've done in there is that there's watercolors and the oils in there, but you've actually put in the illustration that you would do beforehand, and then the end result of what the painting turns out to be like, which is pretty impressive.
When I first started doing lots of drawing, I'd always get to the edge of the paper and I'd go, oh my God, I'm running out the paper, I gotta start over. Well, I don't do that anymore. I just tape another piece of paper onto where I am and keep moving on. So a lot of these drawings I had to figure out and tape them all back together.
Mm-hmm. No, it's great stuff. Now I noticed before when you were mixing those paints that you were using another oil called Vasari.
Yes.
And you just said it's a little bit more expensive, but really, really good paint.
Yes, very strong.
Mm-hmm.
Have to use a lot of white if you're going to tone it down, but it's a great paint for bright colors and wonderful creamy, buttery consistency.
Yeah.
And the company does these incredible information videos on to use their products, kind of YouTube videos as well, using their products and about historic painters as well. Anyway, I've found the whole thing very educational.
And they're an American company?
Yes, out of New York.
Yep.
Handcrafted oil paint.
Well, not only do you paint the canyon areas around Utah, but you've also been down to Monument Valley, which is another great national park, and you've got a piece called Scarlet Sachet. And they are very impressive monoliths down there. I've been to Monument Valley a couple of times, and it's a fantastic piece.
Monument Valley is a very inspirational spot. I like the Navajo influence there. They are amazing artists. I actually taught some classes at Monument Valley High when back in the 80s.
And one of my favorite pieces in your collection is Violet Vitality. And that once again is the Colorado River.
In Grand Canyon.
In Grand Canyon, yeah.
Yeah, and it actually has similar layers to what I'm painting today.
And the amazing part about it is you've been down that river a number of times and seen that, yeah. So you're starting on the river.
Take me to the river.
Take me to the river.
And I just kind of think about it flowing downstream as I go.
So being on the rivers as much as you have in your dory, are the waters fairly cold?
In Grand Canyon, it's very cold. It used to be 45 degrees, and a stick of butter would stay solid, and so you knew your food was good, but now it's more like 50 degrees, so cooler is quite necessary. One of the things I learned from my woodcut block print teacher, Hiroki, was how to turn making art, or printmaking in his case, into a ritual where you actually sit, take pause, breathe deep, and give thanks. And in some ways it's like, well, how is that different than a prayer? Well, I couldn't really tell you, but to turn your art into a ritual is a gift. And I'm so thankful I got to learn that from him. And may I hope to inspire others to turn their art into whatever kind of ritual, to just feel thankful that they're here, they're in the world, and having a good time.
That's wonderful. Well, Serena, it's been a pleasure watching you work today and listening to your life story and hearing all about you. It's just been fantastic. But if somebody wants to see more of your work and all of the things you have, you've got other watercolors, cards, calendars, your books for a start, just some amazing stuff. They can go into serenasupplee.com and have a look at all the amazing paintings and all of the other things that they can see about your work in there as well. It's really been quite an amazing day, and a wonderfully adventurous woman that basically has lived life to the fullest from what I can see.
Thank you.
Well, a spectacular day in Moab. We had a fantastic time here with Serena. Serena, thank you so much.
Thank you, Graham. It was delightful.
Very, very creative lady, and a very interesting life too. That was really fascinating, without a doubt. Now, if somebody wants to come along and look at your cards and calendars and your originals and your books, what's your website address again?
It's serenasupplee.com.
Yeah, so go and have a look. She's got some amazingly interesting stuff in there. And once again, if you want to come and see some more of all of these amazing artists, you can come to colouronylife.com.au and go to our Facebook page and YouTube and all of the other systems that we have going. I had a fantastic time. The country around here is just spectacular, isn't it? Just can't believe it.
I love it.
We're going to head off again. We're off to Colorado next time. And but until we see you guys again, remember, make sure you put some Moab colour in your life. See you next time. Bye, guys.
Bye.